Good afternoon, and welcome to this month's edition of MCI Live, hosted right here on AM 1490, the gospel radio station, but also simulcast on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Thank you, our viewing audience. Thank you so much for being with us. Most certainly, we want to give you, as we open up every month, our monthly updates, as we want to be accountable and responsible to you, our community, in the work that we're doing. Well, in the month of October, we were able to celebrate and culminate the month of October with our annual Character Day. That happened on October 29th there at the Charles Drew K-8 Center. We had readers to come into the schools to begin and dress in character, which simply means that we made it a literacy day where they were able to come in and dress as characters from storybooks and read to our students. Yours truly came in that day dressed as a Wakanda warrior from the movie Black Panther, and we had the privilege of reading to our students. We were excited. We are so thankful for our sponsors who helped us to provide breakfast to those community workers and to those who came to volunteer. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Also, in the month of October, we had the distinct pleasure of going through our annual audits, our annual accountability with the Children's Trust and all of our other locations. And we were so thankful that we passed with passing colors. And so we're thankful that we're continuing to be funded through Miami-Dade County, funded through the Miami Children's Trust, and we look forward to continuing to do that work. I also want to say thank you to those who watched our radio and TV programs on last month, where we had the pleasure of working with the Hope Foundation, where we hosted them in the month of October, and we were a part of their breast cancer awareness celebration, where they were able to host breast cancer survivors. We were happy to be a part of that. But also, I want you to take a peek at this video that's about to be shown, and those who will listen to a teen rally, if you will. There was a call put out from some administrators there at Miami Northwestern, where we had the pleasure of speaking to about 900, did you hear me? 900 girls in the auditorium. There have been a couple of acts, as you've seen the trend across the country, where there have been a couple of fights and violent acts that's happening. We were deeply saddened by the young man that was murdered by fellow students in the Miami-Dade County public school system. And so, as a result, there was a clarion call to bring in local mentors and local change makers and local community leaders to speak to those girls. And I am so privileged that we were asked as an alumnus of Miami Northwestern to come in and say some words of motivation. Take a listen.
I am Natasha Daniels, and I'm a proud 1991 graduate of the institution called the Miami Northwestern Senior High School. So I don't have much time, so I'm going to put it across the grass. Let me tell y'all real quick, you are beautiful. I want you to say that out loud. I am beautiful. That's what you are. That's right. Add a little something to that. Add a little sauce to that. Let me just tell you what I want to talk about in 2 minutes, and I'm going to sit down. At the age of 13, my father was killed while I was a student at Charles Drew. While I was at Charles Drew, my math teacher named Mr. Wilson told me in front of everybody that I was the dumbest girl that he had ever met in his life. And so when my sister, Kiki, Major Butler, talks about that I'm beyond what people say, because it's not what you call me, it's what I answer to. And ladies, I want you to know today that you are beautiful. So one of the things that came to my mind is, what are you fighting for? What are you fighting for? That may seem like a real question. It may seem insignificant. arrested and charged as an adult is the age of 7. They legislated that in Tallahassee last legislative session. So when you say your vote don't count, it don't matter who the people are, they decided that your life don't matter past age 7. And so when you around here fighting and thinking, oh, this gonna be okay, I'm gonna go in like Juby, oops, I'm sorry. Whenever you are charged because you're on school property, it can become a federal offense. And let me tell you something about federal time. You don't get probation. You got to walk all 25 of them years. So what are you fighting for? What's the value of your life? That somebody tell you what to do, what to wear, and how to act? That's the value of your life? That you're beyond thinking and reasoning, and you don't have the power to be ingenious and move out of the way and say, it's not about you, but it's about my future. But let me say something else. What are you fighting for? My last point is this, and then I'm going to sit down. Anybody know what a BBL is? What a BBL is? Let me hear, I don't know y'all in school, let me see. That's what a BBL is, right? What is it? What is it? And what is it? But I want to know if that's what you know what a BBL is. I wonder if you know that you also can possess a BBL. Which simply means that you can recognize your beauty, you can recognize that you've got brains, and you got to recognize that there's something that's valuable in you called life and legacy. So what is beauty? Beauty is the fact that I'm able to get up every day and make everything that they are saying about me nationally alive. My beauty is not in my hips, my dips, and my fingertips. And I know you regulated it to eyelashes, that's beauty. You regulated to these things we call wigs. You regulated your beauty to the shape of your hips. But I want you to know that a beautiful woman is a woman who knows where she's going, who understands that I'm not what they say I am, but I'm what God says I am. The Bible says it this way, and I know, let me say a sacred document says it this way, let me say it this way. A sacred document says that beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord shall be praised. And some of you are out here fighting because you want to be recognized. Some of you are fighting because you want somebody to dignify the fact that you've been hurt, you've been molested, you've been raped, you've been looked over, you don't have enough food in your house, you don't even have enough to make it. That's why you're out here fighting. But I want you to know that you're beyond a pair of shoes, you're beyond a pair of eyelashes, that you are so significant that God made this whole world just for you. That's beauty, that's beauty. Let's talk about brains. What's in between your ears? Let me tell you, the sexiest part of your body is not between your legs. Because baby, I'm hitting and quit and go get your friend, hit and quit, get your car, hit and quit. Am I talking real talk? Am I talking real talk? And the way y'all fight, yeah, him just getting this, her getting it. She'll hit it, quit it, hit, she'll hit. I'm just talking about what I'm talking about. What are you fighting for? So brain, the sexiest part of your body, you with a chocolate dog, you're just as pretty as you want to be. The sexiest thing on your body is not between your legs, but it's between your ears. Because anybody who come after you for what's just between your legs, they don't value you past the weight of what's between your legs. So when you love somebody love you, when you love somebody like you, they want to talk to you. They want to spend time with about your brain, that mass between your head. Some of you were told that you were nothing. Some of you were told you'd never be anything. Some of you were told that you were not smart enough, you weren't good enough. But baby, every day that you come in this school, you ought to make them a liar. You ought to strive to make an A. Even if you make a C, at least try to make an A. You ought to strive to make them a liar. So you what you're working with, baby. I may not have it like you, but I'm going to give it all I got. Anybody going to give it all I got? I'm going to sit down because I know it's time to go home. But all you beautiful beauties up in that balcony, I love you. I want you to know somebody loves you. How many of you know over here you loved over here? Let me hear you. Do you know that you're loved over here? Do you know that you're loved over here? Do you know that you're loved over here? Do you know that you're loved right here? Do you know that you're valuable over here? Brains. Your ability to think about it. Your ability to realize that my today is not my tomorrow. That I'm trying to build something. Because let me tell you something. My father was killed in our car. My father was killed in our car. Mama ain't have enough money. I don't eat Burger King to this day. Because my mama had to work 2 jobs. And some of y'all understand that pain. My mama had to work 2 jobs, and often I would walk in here and I have holes in my shoes. But as long as I ain't lift up my foot, you didn't know what was on it. Now I own about 300 pair of shoes, and I ain't lying. Pray for me, Kiki. You know I got that addiction. And it's what my sister called trauma. I can't walk by a pair of shoes and not buy them. Because I know what they used to say about my shoes when they had holes in them. But I want you to know that I had to recognize and realize you like these shoes, don't you? You see them. I know y'all see those shoes. Don't fool with me. Hold on. Brains is more than what you think and reason, but it's about how you value it. I'm sorry I've taken too long. This last thing is love and legacy. What are you fighting for? Do you believe that you are greater than where you are? Can you get your biggest dream in your mind? I'll never forget the first time somebody drove up in a Mercedes-Benz, and that's interesting you brought it up, was right out here in the front of Northwest. It used to be a circle. And all the dope boys, they used to come around, they used to have it, and they would drive up around the circle when we would get out of school. And I said, one day I'm going to have me a Mercedes. My mama said, well, how would you ever think something like that? We do good to have this little car we got. Another thing I said was, one day, I said, how much money the President of the United States made? They said, $125,000. I said, I'm making $125,000. My mom said, baby, I barely made 20. Last thing, I said, one day, right here in Northwestern, I said, I'm going to go to Harvard. Grew up 55th and 12th Avenue, Then we moved to Brownsville because my mama was on Habitat for Humanity, because my dad was killed, so we got us a little house on 56th 24. I said, I'm going to go to Harvard. What was the first thing I said? I was going to drive a Mercedes. I've driven a Mercedes for the last 20 years of my life. I decided recently, because I leased the last one, to give it up because I want me a 5-bedroom house with in-law quarters for my mom to come move in with me. And so I realized I'm giving up this Mercedes because I want to reduce my debt. So I'm driving a Genesis right now. Excuse, but baby, it's getting me where I need to go. Second thing is, I said I'm going to make $125,000. One thing you never do is talk about your lover and you never talk about your money. But just know if I'm standing here, I'm telling you something, man. The last thing is, I said I was going to attend Harvard University. Somebody from the hood, somebody from right here, and currently I'm a student at Harvard University. But why is it? Because of that L. Because I decided that I loved myself enough that I wanted something called a legacy for myself, for my family. There wasn't no boy, wasn't no girl, wasn't none of that worth it. What are you fighting for? What are you looking forward to? That was my little dream, but what's your dream? What do you want? And every time you think about it, I hope it calls.
Well, thank you for joining us again. Just coming back from that radio break, we're so happy that you're still with us and hanging in there. I hope that you did find some inspiration, motivation, and you got a little bit of insight of the information that we share often on a day-to-day basis with the youth that we serve, or we have the privilege of serving within Liberty City. It was an amazing moment to be with those 900 young ladies at Miami Northwestern. But let's continue because we have a partner in this work. It is my distinct pleasure to bring Mr. Michael Nozile to share with us the great work he is also doing within this urban core. Welcome, sir.
Well, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So I am going to allow you the moment to tell us about Mr. Michael Nozile and Gang Alternative.
Well, thank you for having me once again.
Yes.
My name is Michael Nozile. I'm the...
Did I say Nozile? See, there's that Southern country girl. Would you forgive me?
See, I forgive you. I went to school in the South, so I know what it's like.
Thank you, thank you.
So,
Because this city country, this Greenville, Alabama, Miami, Florida right here.
Yeah, it's hard to get that Nozile. It's French.
It is.
Yeah, it is.
It is. And so is that your heritage?
No, I'm Creole.
You're
Haitian Creole.
Okay.
Yeah, Haitian Creole. So I was
And
born
were you
in
born in Haiti?
I was born in Haiti, raised here in Miami, Little Haiti, Liberty City.
So how old were you when you came over to
I
the
was 11
States?
years old.
Okay, all right. So you've got enough of the grit and the sand in between your toes from
Yes,
Haiti. That's what
yes.
I'm trying to say.
That's right. That's right.
Absolutely. And what was that transition like to go from Haiti to Miami?
Well, when you're that young, you don't notice it except, you lost friends. But again, you incorporate yourself into the community very well. So I attended Morningside Elementary School, Edison Middle, and Edison Senior High School, class of '89.
Red.
Yes,
Don't
yes,
nobody.
yes,
This
yes,
is a
yes.
bull nation over here. Don't play with us. But it's all right. You had to go to school somewhere, so we give you permission to be a Raider.
I hear you. I hear you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, all right. So you understand the fabric of both the urban core of Liberty City.
Correct.
And so talk to us about how did you become involved with the work that you do every day at Gang Alternative?
So,
And what is Gang Alternative?
well, Gang Alternative is a prevention and intervention service agency. We also have a faith-based component through our agency. So that's why I want to lead on to, because growing up in a community back in the early 80s, what really kept me out of trouble was the fact that I was involved in sports and I was involved in youth ministry.
Wow.
So those two things kind of keep me away from trouble. And I really think, overall, that's what really helped save me.
Okay.
So that's why right now at Gang Alternative, we like to say we're in a business of saving lives.
And so when you say save me, very good. Save you from what?
Well, save me from myself.
Okay.
A lot of time it saved me from our environment sometimes. As you're growing up, as you know, when you 14, 15, and 16, you are being pulled in a lot of different direction. So those direction, I could have easily gone to all those negative direction, which, sad to say, growing up with some folks that went in those direction, and I didn't, by the grace of God.
And so you would say, most certainly, because there are other organizations within Liberty City, and we just say the urban core, because really
That's
within
right.
those city parameters that are doing intervention and prevention work. But you would say that your niche is that you've added that faith component. Is that what we're
The
saying?
faith component was the first one because I think it's the foundation of who we're supposed to be, our faith. You know, as a young person, you have to be able to identify yourself by the greater power. What do God says about me, who I am as a person? So I think that's what helps me. That's what helps save a lot of my friends. So I realized very early on, faith is the key. Then the rest of the component, you could add them on later.
So basically giving our young people something to look forward to or to believe in.
Correct.
So
correct.
who is your target audience and who are you serving?
Urban youth. My target core is urban youth because I really want to serve the area that's pretty much underserved, just like you all are doing too. And I think it take the collective to actually save our youth. I think the complication with life is a lot more harder now on youth than it was back in 84, 85, 86. Yeah.
It is truly, I would say that we had challenges, but these challenges are layered, are so much more layered.
Right.
Because if we didn't like you or whatever, it was somebody told you and we come up to your house or we talk, whatever. But now, and that was just between those two or maybe a group. But now with the impact of social media and it being able to be broadcast, it then adds different dynamics to people finding reasons to maybe do deviant behavior.
Absolutely.
So the term gang alternative is not necessarily geared toward gang intervention and prevention, but it's more a hometown community. Is that?
It's the gang mindset. So we all are subject to have the gang mindset to negative behaviors, whether or not it's finance, whether or not it's violent gang, whether or not it's the gang mentality to remain in poverty. So what we wanted to do at Gang Alternative, we wanted to change that mindset, to have a positive alternative, to think there are different ways to make it through life. We don't have to remain in poverty. We don't have to engage in violence. We don't have to think, oh, well, I can't make it out of the hood. Or you don't have to leave out of the hood at all. We could go and get our education and remain in the hood and help bring the hood to a better place.
And so what would your staff look like? And what are some of those services that you're doing to change the gang thought process and mentality, according to your definition of gang?
So we have a diversity of staff. We have a diverse of programs. Of course, I mentioned the faith component. We also have an education component, a mentoring component. More important to me too is the mental health component. And in our community, as you know, sometimes it's hard for us to talk about our mental health, and it's pretty much taboo. I really want to make sure that we establish a mental health component where we have therapists in place that focus on trauma, that focus in the family as a whole, not just the child as a whole, but as a whole family. We have workforce development. What I like about our workforce development, just in case we have parents that were incarcerated that's returning to our community, we want to make sure that we target those parents too, to help them navigate through the system, whether it's job training, interviewing, or even place them into jobs.
And so with that being said, if a parent is having a challenge with a child, how do they contact your organization?
So they could visit www.myga.org.
M as in Mary.
M as in Mary.
Y as in yellow.
G as in Georgia. A as in Apple. .org. O-R-G. We all are born for a particular purpose, and it's to discover that purpose. They will help young people discover their own purpose in life. I think in helping, working in this community to help change lives. One organization cannot do it alone. Two organizations cannot do it alone.
No one
It has to take
organization has a
multiple
silver bullet.
organizations. Exactly. It's all of us to help.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Michael
Nozile.
Nozile.
No.
Nozile. You know, I want to say Nozile.
Yeah.
Nozile. Thank you so much.
Like the zeal of God, you know what I
Like
mean?
the zeal of God.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing both your personal and professional life with us today. To our listening and viewing audience, we are happy to know that we have a community partner, Gang Alternative, and your address, you're located.
We have multiple locations. If you go to our website, we have a Homestead location.
Yes.
We have a Liberty City location. We have our main quarter here in North Miami.
Yes.
And we also have a Broward and Palm Beach location also.
And so they are located over the Tri-County area, Miami-Dade, Broward, and even into Palm Beach. And so if you're watching and listening to this and you need assistance, tell us that number again.
786-391-2376.
2376. This will come up on the screen. You'll have an opportunity to collect that information and use it. All right, we'll be right back after this radio break with Miss Rebecca Lipsey of the Miami Foundation. Hi, and welcome to MCI. We are so happy that you have joined us again as we continue to share with you news and resources that are available to you, our viewing audience, and those, our listening audience, about just ideas, thoughts, and plans around Liberty City, but more especially those individuals and persons who have the ability to impact and influence how things get done. It is always a great moment for us to be able to have great people, and today we don't come shy of that word greatness. I am so happy today to have in our studio today Miss Rebecca Lipsey, the new, fabulous, making it happen, girl power situation. When I tell you, when this happened, I was over the top. The CEO of the Miami Foundation. Welcome, Rebecca.
Thank you. That's such a welcome.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so we salute you. We applaud you for vision, purpose, and honey, just bringing some beauty to the Miami
you.
Foundation.
Right back to you. That's so nice of you.
So for our watching audience, those who don't even know who Rebecca Lipsey is, hello, Mr. Lipsey. We made sure that we got you in there. Tell us a little bit about Rebecca.
Sure. So I've been in Miami for 15 years. I grew up in the Northeast. Started out as a public school teacher up in New York and Harlem, taught for a few years, and came down here with an organization called Teach for America. And so I'm very familiar with the schools that you love so much. I love them too. And then I served as the first teacher ever on the Florida Board of Education, first former teacher on that board, setting education policy, and launched something called Radical Partners here in Miami, focused on growing efforts to strengthen our community, and then found myself at the helm of this incredible institution, the Miami Foundation, which is how we get to connect. And it's an honor to give back to the city that I love, and to be involved in helping shape what we become in our future.
Well, Northeast, you lost a star, but what did we gain here in South Florida? And to hear you come from a place of passion and philanthropy as it relates to understanding grassroots concept and getting right in. But for those who may not completely understand what the Miami Foundation is, would you share with us what's the mission and purpose of the Miami Foundation?
Sure, yeah, and I would say many people don't realize the asset they have in their community at the Miami Foundation. So I would encourage you, if you don't know the Miami Foundation yet, go to miamifoundation.org, check out who we are, what we do, what we have to offer for you, for your family, for your community. So we are the community foundation for Greater Miami. And so our focus is building assets that our community can rely on forever to address whatever the most important issues are. So right now we're about at $400 million in assets. It's all philanthropy. So if you could imagine us, we're like a philanthropic bank that people invest in this institution to grow those assets over time, to always be there for the future of our community. And every year we give out grants to nonprofit organizations that are addressing issues that matter. And we invest our assets so that every year there's a return that comes back to us that we can grow forever for the issues that matter most. And we focus on education and health and equity, and build relationships with all of the organizations in town, including yours, who are doing important work, so that we know who's doing what, who needs what, and so we can bring people together to address issues that matter.
I will tell you, as an organization that most certainly feels and needs the support of an organization like yours, we wouldn't be able to do this work without you. And so for those organizations that are watching, I don't want you to be afraid. For those who, well, that's the Miami Foundation. How do I even go about applying? What is that process? Because to hear you say that we are the philanthropic bank that people can invest but also withdraw from should there be a need. What's that whole process? Because some people may think, oh, it's only for certain groups or certain populations. For those who are watching, what's that process?
Yeah, so thanks for asking. So we are for everyone and we are by everyone. So we have 1,000 fund holders that have determined this is my community, I'm gonna invest in this community, and they create a fund with us, whether with $100 or $100,000, and they grow those assets over time that are meant for philanthropy for their community, and they decide where they want their money to go, and we work with them to help them find organizations they care about. And then we have assets of our own that we grow over time that we give out in grants. And so all year long, we're opening up applications for different issue areas. We have one that we're reviewing right now related to safe communities, but we have one major grant process each year called our annual community grants program that I know you're very familiar with, and we make an all call and we say, if you are a change maker, if you have a nonprofit organization doing something that matters, tell us your vision, tell us what matters now. And then we have community-based advisory groups that help to review and determine where those dollars go. And so that's our big grant process for the year, but we have smaller grant processes all year round. And we also have a racial equity fund that we launched in 2020 that's given out 4 rounds of grants just in this past year, and I know there'll be more. And so, you know, if you go to our website and see the different initiatives that we have, if you see one that really aligns with your passion, either for giving or for receiving for the work that you do, then we want you to reach out.
And so I think that speaks volumes to understanding and putting your finger on the pulse of what the needs are. But continuing along the lines of those organizations and groups that are out there, one of the other arms, as you talked about education, is also educating those organizations on what that looks like, that they would be prepared and ready. So talk to us about your educational, community education pieces that helps prepare organizations, because not only do you just give out, you assist in resources, but you make sure that they're ready and prepared to deliver those services.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this, you know, there's no magic behind the scenes. If you are a change maker doing something that matters in your community, you are the expert. And I think in the past, people looked to those who were giving out the resources, like at the foundation, as if we had some magical knowledge about what others should be doing. We are not the ones with the power. The people who are doing the work in communities are the experts of their own lived experience and what their communities need.
Right.
And it is our honor to be able to give resources. And so do not be fearful, or if you need some special education or special criteria in order to access that. Like, we are lucky to know you, to have access to you, and to be able to fuel your work. And so one of the things we do is when people apply who aren't familiar, we have people on our team who do one-on-one conversations.
The technical assistance.
Exactly.
Yes.
So I think this year for community grants, we had 200 one-on-one meetings with organizations who had not applied before, and our goal was to get as many new organizations and small organizations that don't have money for, you know, a grants director or a development team. They're hustling doing the work. They don't have time or resources for that. And so we want to kind of demystify the process. This should not be scary or like something that someone else has access to, but you on the ground in the community wouldn't. And so what I would say is, like, we offer technical assistance and support, but our aim is for our process to be really simple. What is your vision? What are you building? Why does it matter? How can we help you?
And so that to me is amazing to hear. And so I hope you hear it. You're hearing it from the head, that This opportunity at the Miami Foundation isn't limited to a set population, but if you're being, as you call, a change maker, we want to encourage you to be a part and explore the opportunities to enrich the work and services that many of you are already doing. Let's get to the racial equity component. We know 2020 was an interesting year. As a matter of fact, we're celebrating 1-year anniversary of being here in this studio because we had to become, or we had to evolve. We had to figure out in COVID, when we couldn't touch people day to day, how we can continue to get information and resources to them. And we concluded that this was one of those methods. But we know also that that was also charged around George Floyd, that was charged around Breonna Taylor, the need to have needed and very necessary conversation to understand the difference between equality and equity. Talk to us about what's happening there with the Miami Foundation and what was the impetus, if you will, to this whole grant funding process for racial equity.
Yeah, so I started as the president of this foundation 1 week after George Floyd was murdered. And we did not yet have a racial equity fund, and racism is not new in our community or across this country, but I will say the benefit of cell phones, video cameras in everybody's pocket is that you cannot look away to see a string of murders and crimes against people based very clearly on racism and systemic racism. This was a moment where we cannot look away, and where there are organizations in our community that have been fighting racism for decades. And all of a sudden there was this awakening, I think, in our country and in our community. We need to be investing more strongly in these organizations. And so we planted a flag. We said, you know what, if you are stirred by this moment, step up, give, do. Let's fuel the organizations and the leaders that are doing this work. And so we found within our foundation $100,000, and we said we challenge this community and we challenge this country, step up, match our funds, help us grow this pot. We've raised at this point nearly $2 million, which I hope we will double. And we, over the course of this past year, have given out 4 rounds of grants. First to organizations that are doing the work fighting racism in a variety of forms. And then, like you said, there are change makers who don't have a nonprofit organization. So we said we need to do a round of grants for people. Like genius grants for people who are doing the work in their communities. And so we asked people to nominate, who do you know, who is the local hero in your community who's been fighting it, doing the work? And we found high school students who would never find a community foundation to apply to, or a grandmother, 81-year-old grandmother in her neighborhood doing the work, who didn't have the computer to apply, but her neighbors know she's the one who's doing the work, and we gave them genius grants. Or prizes, really, to thank them for the work that they're doing. And then we began building out an anthology of we found 99 different organizations, now 100 organizations in Miami that are doing work to address systemic racism. And we know that for many of them, the local corporations in town that are saying they want to support the fight against inequity, against racial inequity, they don't know who the organizations are.
Or who to trust. And so Miami Foundation provides a vetting process that they can feel comfortable with. Am I correct?
Yeah, so our aim is to identify the organizations, capture the story of what they're doing, and share it more broadly, and help to bring in resources those organizations might not have access to. So bring in funding from Facebook, from Google, from Microsoft, from banks and corporations in town that are looking to make an investment, and say, like, we're going to pool resources, we're going to match resources, and we're going to find the local organizations and the local heroes, and we're going to get the money out. And by doing that, we were able to raise far more money than we could have given ourselves.
We're going to get to a very important day that's coming up, but right before I do that, it was a tremendous honor and this is my sister from another mister, Miss Tina Brown over at the Overtown Youth Center. I absolutely adore her.
Me too.
But we were given the opportunity to speak on Miami Foundation's behalf before the mayor regarding some COVID dollars that were to be released or could be released to help organizations. And we were one of those beneficiaries, and we were so thankful because in a COVID context where we had to shift gears, we needed cleaning supplies. We still needed to serve families, but we didn't have the air purifiers and and all of those things that these resources provided. Let's talk a little bit about what that COVID plan looked like and that process. And then I want to get to a wonderful day that's coming up here real soon. So a little bit about that COVID process and your support for organizations during COVID.
Yeah. So there was a lot of money coming out of the national government for COVID. But it was very hard to figure out how to operationalize, like how do you take that money and get it where it needs to go? And the government, they needed to think through, small businesses and restaurants and, individuals who needed supplies, and then also nonprofits. How do we help them? And so our foundation, we're very well practiced in how to take dollars and run grant programs quickly and easily without a burden to the organizations. And so we partnered with our local government and said, we're going to get this money into the hands of organizations quickly. And so they trusted us. Thank you for going to speak on behalf of that, because that's what really got it through, was hearing from organizations, we need this money, help us. So thank you. And thank you, Tina. And so we deployed about $11 million over the course of a matter of weeks to organizations. And then the other thing that we did was we saw, every organization was trying to get their hands on sanitizing wipes and gloves. And, if you went to like a Target and tried to buy supplies, they would limit you to like a box.
Right.
So I had organizations that were telling me they were showing up to Target wearing one hat, buying the box, leaving, coming back in, changing the hat. It's just, you can't fuel change like that.
Right.
And so we said, you know what? And they're also getting ripped off. You're buying things in small quantities.
Yes.
Go on Amazon and you get $50 for a tiny package of the thing that you need. And we said, all of the organizations in town, this is what they're doing. They're getting ripped off. We can get things by the truck. Let's get a truck. And so we called some of our corporate partners and said, where are you getting your mass quantities of supplies for a fraction of the cost? And we got a mass supply, and we started giving out to organizations. Instead of, if I donate to you $100, you get 2 little boxes of wipes, or I can get a truck full of wipes for pennies on the dollar. And so we realized in that moment, okay, part of what we do is getting money to people who need it, but sometimes it's about us using our power to get the resources themselves.
Amazing. One last piece, as you sit at the helm, ensuring, as we talk about equity, those organizations that, as you talked about already, that don't have all of the resources, but ensuring in this equity lens, are there efforts or initiatives that include minority businesses, that include minority sources or in underserved communities?
Yes, a lot right now. And I would say there's a lot of corporations and investments that in the past didn't really think about where the money was going. They thought about, I care about education, so I'll give out funds to education, but they didn't think about who was doing the work. And what I'm seeing now within the philanthropic space is people ask for the first time, are the voices of the people who are receiving the resources on the other side, are they represented in their leadership? So to see you in your role as someone for whom Liberty City is home, this is not like a passion project for you.
No.
This is your work. This is a life's mission. You believe, you breathe, and you bleed the work that you do. And I think for the first time now, I'm seeing an increased value in people leading and making sure that the voices of constituents are represented.
And I am seeing that more in grant applications. They're asking, what does the demographics of your leadership looks like? And we're a woman, we can't change that, we're proud of that. And I am not ashamed of this complexion that I have. I had nothing to do with it, but I'm glad that God graced me with it. And so it doesn't make me less of a person or less capable of doing the work because I'm a woman, because I'm African American. But as you suggest, it may give me another level of passion that someone who just wants to have help because of it's just the right thing to do, but it's another thing to walk in those shoes and be that person who understands what that pain has felt like and why you need to give those resources.
Yeah.
Yes. So with that being said, this is the month of November. This is a chance that maybe we'll get a chance to wear a few fall-looking outfits, but it'll only be for 2 hours in Miami.
Right.
But in the month of November, there is an amazing thing that happens around the Miami Foundation called Give Miami Day. To those who don't know or not sure when it's happening again, please tell us what Give Miami Day is.
Sure. So this is my favorite holiday of the year.
Yes.
In November, and I will be pretending that it is fall weather and wearing my sweater. But I will say, this is my favorite day of the year because it is when we invite everybody in Miami to step up and give to the organizations you care about, to the causes that you care about. And so it's always the Thursday right before Thanksgiving. So right when people are getting in the holiday spirit and you're thinking about your family and your future and your
not
legacy.
Black Friday.
No. So all that money you're about to spend on Black Friday, we're gonna sneak in there right before and say, what do you care about? What's the legacy you want to leave in your community? And we invite everybody in Miami to step up and give. And we invite every nonprofit organization that is hustling to figure out how they're going to do more good work in the next year to get the general operating dollars they need to close out the year strong. And
Because that's really where we struggle. And being in all transparency, the direct service dollars, we can do it, the work, but that's the infrastructure. It takes people to do that work.
Yes.
And to have general operating resources to be able to sustain the work is so important. And that's why Give Miami Day is so important.
Yes, and we know for most organizations in Miami are small, have the resources to throw a gala or a big fundraiser at the end of the year. And so we say, you know what, as the community foundation, we are hosting. We are going to create a platform. It is the citywide gala for everybody. And we have over 900 organizations that are addressing every issue area from homelessness to health to education and to arts. And we create a platform, and you go on givemiamiday.org, go to givemiamiday.org. You can already go on there.
GiveMiamiDay.org.
Yes.
Give MiamiDay.org.
And you can find all 900 organizations, find the ones you care about.
It's just one called Miami Children. It's the only
That's
one
right.
on there. It's called Miami Children. No, let me stop.
And you show them some love. And
Yes.
so, you give $25 and we match at the foundation. We get corporations that join us and philanthropists that join us to give a partial match for every gift that's given. And so the hope is to give a boost. And then the organizations, it's fun, friendly competition. You can get prizes throughout the day. And our aim is to help raise, tens of millions of dollars for the community and to see, tens of thousands of locals stepping up and showing the organizations they care about.
And so when I walked through the door, the average, I think the organization was saying, okay, let's raise about $5,000, let's stick. I said, no, we're going to double it. My first year, we were able to raise $12,000.
Look at you.
The second year, and that was major for us. And then that second year, we did around 12. COVID last year, I think we did right around 6 or 7. So, but we were able to also benefit from your racial equity. It was a little boost for minority-run businesses. And
Doing that again.
Yes, and so we were able to get a little bit of a boost from that, and we really appreciate it. And so, listen, Give Miami Day is coming up. We will continue to ask for your support. Miami Children's Initiative, you see what we're doing. We would love for your support, but if it's not us, any element of this community called nonprofit and these people who are doing this work, please support us. We need help. We can't do this work without you. And so again, last year you guys raised some kind of crazy I don't even know if I know how to write them many zeros. How much money did you raise from Give Miami Day?
It's intimidating. We raised $18 million.
In one day, they raised $18 million.
You raised $18 million in a day. This was 900 organizations together raising funds for the work they do. We were just there to create the backbone.
Yes. And what an amazing backbone. The coaching that we got, the templates already created, the email reminders, promote, get out and share this information. It's just an amazing support day. And so again, we want to encourage you the Thursday before Thanksgiving. We'll be putting out information. We'll come back to you to share on Give Miami Day how you can be a blessing to this community, that we can continue to do the work. So where the government falls short, nonprofit organizations, that's who we are. We're that safety net. We're that catch-all to meet the gaps of the community, and we need your help in doing that. Let me tell you something, Miss Rebecca. It has been my distinct pleasure in hosting you. I am so, again, proud of the beauty and the brains that sit at the helm of the Miami Foundation. It is good to hear your passion. I hope our community has heard that. Any last comments, any information? If someone wanted to contact your organization, how would they do that?
Sure. So, I mean, my last thought is that this is our city. And so if you're tuning in, clearly you care about your community. This is ours to shape. And I think what is so beautiful about living in a city like Miami, we are a city of people who fled here, who build here, and it's alive right now. And so if you have aspirations for the future of this place, build that, step up, give to the causes you care about, and know that we're here to support you. And if you want to get involved, check out our website. You can go see givemiamiday.org, but you can also visit the Miami Foundation's website. And all the email addresses for all of our team are up there, and we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to be involved with you. And just, it's an honor to sit with you and to know more about the work that you do, and just really mutual respect.
Thank you. Well, again, thank you for joining us and watching us here today. We'll see you next month.